Cryptocurrency Talks. Lovely having you. We've been hearing a lot about ReddCoin, and we're very passionate about ReddCoin. Actually, I think it's a wonderful project, and I think it's overdue that ethics and the kind of voluntary sector and really the social community kind of merges with blockchain enterprises. And I feel like ReddCoin is just one of the most early adopters, and as kind of part of a social movement, I feel, it's really overdue to really hear about some of the projects that you've got in line, what the roadmap's looking like. And just to begin with, maybe if you could perhaps tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey, how you got into ReddCoin, and perhaps we can then move on to what the vision is from there.
Sure, happy to. Glad to be here. Glad you guys reached out, and I'm happy to take some time and share what we're doing with as many people as we can. Just to start off, obviously, you can take a look at our website. The new one is redd.love, REDD.LOVE, which really came along with our new branding. We'll speak to that in a bit. As far as my personal journey, it has been an adventure. I come from an IT background. I've been an IT consultant and a problem solver for most of my adult life. Corporate IT, running departments, non-governmental organizations, doing sort of good work around the globe and solving challenges with tech. It's all been an endless learning experience. And then, of course, crypto came along right around 2009, 2010. And of course, being a networking guy and into security and cryptography and all the fundamental things that wove together to give us cryptocurrency, I sort of followed the early days. A lot of interest, not a lot of insight into, oh, this is going to be humongous, but just, very intellectual curiosity, how you can send money electronically. Obviously, folks that really know the history know Bitcoin wasn't the first solution at this. E-gold and some of the other were either legislated or taken out, as possible threats. But Bitcoin, of course, caught on, and I was an active miner early on. It just made sense. The ability to use technology to secure money, and the concept behind this immutable blockchain that you could enter information with or into and then share globally without any fear of it being changed. Those concepts really resonated with me as a security guy. It made sense, and I had the ability to dig into the technology that a lot of people maybe did not, and do some hands-on playing and fire up some of the miners and the software and the GPUs, and ultimately the farms of block eruptors here. These are, I think, a mega hash or so. So I did that for a while and really saw as things were evolving, not accumulating a lot, but really learning a lot. And as some of the other coins evolved, Litecoin, obviously, and then ReddCoin was spun off, was forked actually from Litecoin. The team that founded ReddCoin saw some of the drawbacks of coin, the longer block time, the fee structure, the fact that there were a limited distribution of coins, ultimately that could ever be out there. And they looked at that and they said, well, we could really tweak some of this and make a perfect coin to complement social media. And tipping at that time on Reddit, as Dogecoin emerged and some of the other faster altcoins, it was a concept that really came home to a lot of people, especially on Reddit at that time. People were tipping back and forth with the bots, and the team that started up ReddCoin really wanted to capture that. So they came up with a concept. Actually, let me take a step back, because I still on the personal history side of this. At the time, I was part of those communities. I was a Dogecoin miner as well. I think a mod and sole member of the subreddit Doge for Cats, that guy, and really got involved in a number of projects that had a lot of potential. Donated to Angel Shares and Proto Shares, both as a miner and a holder, in order to spin up what turned into BitShares and the Graphene Toolkit, and of course that led to things like Peer Plays and Steam and EOS, and so things like that really have potential in different directions. What I saw with ReddCoin was a really solid use case, a niche need to tip people and send value on social media that was just augmented by what the original team came up with as a concept. They had this idea of something that they called ReddID. ReddID was a product that, it's been talked about through the years. It's meant to do three very basic things: to take these complex crypto addresses out of the mix and make you not have to worry about that by letting you register your own name on the blockchain, controlled by your own keys. So for example, you could register ROF, and then people could send you coins to ROF, and somehow the system would figure out that's the address it goes to, and there's no way to spoof that. Adds a layer of security and ease. So that was a great idea. And then those same guys said, well, if we link that name to all of the social media identities that you have, ROF on Twitter, ROF on Facebook, anybody can easily tip those names and have it linked back to that central address. And then the third part of that was just a very easy to use tip button that we could drop on all of these social media sites, on Twitter, under comments, or on YouTube videos. And that would allow people just in passing to click, send a couple of ReddCoin. Because our blockchain is essentially feeless, you don't lose out and have enormous fees and having to send these payments or these tips. So all of the funds you send would arrive at the recipient. That's a pretty compelling advantage. That was the goal initially for ReddCoin, to fit that use case. And we have been struggling to do that. We brought out our MVP ReddID product in 2018. It worked exactly as we wanted to. It didn't scale. And, it really was a labor of love and sort of an effort to get to that point. And at the same time, in trying to run ReddCoin as an all-volunteer project without ICO funds, because I may not have mentioned after that first year that the founding team did sort of go through those funds, decided, all right, we can turn the project, over to, at that point, the youngest volunteer on the team. That's my partner, John, or the least senior, I should say. John Nash, my partner in ReddCoin and the technical brains behind it. And he carried it forward as a volunteer and struggled. And then at some point I stepped up as a redhead and said, can I help? And that's 2016 and forward. And since then, we've been trying not only to build that software, but also to hit all the boxes that you need to really have a successful altcoin project. Everything from listing to promotion to security to support of the community to branding to website presence and infrastructure and all of these things that people tend not to think about when you just go, hey, that's a coin, right? And so we've evolved things pretty uniquely. When we reached that point of releasing ReddID and sort of weren't able to make it scale, we also faced the challenge of not having adequate funds to continue the project. And what we did is, again, as a bit of an industry first, we reached out to our community and we changed our staking protocol to allow for the devs, myself included, but our dev team, to establish a dev fund, a component of our staking protocol that, and I can speak a little bit to that later because I know I am just sort of rambling on. But we changed the protocol in a way that the project is now self-funding, and our POSV version 2, proof of stake velocity version 2, which was unique originally, is now even more so, because it means we're not obligated to take on investors that want us to be the next Facebook or want to monetize the users. We're actually fairly independent at this point, and so we can, maintain our own fortunes and make our own decisions. And that has a lot to do with the future goals of what we're trying to do. The big picture of Redd is we're not a profit play. We've never tried to be a speculative token, the common approach that the folks have in this space. We've tried to build something different. And it really was meant to, and I can speak a bit to that, a bit later on. It really was meant to be an alternative to all of these cookie cutter projects that popped up and want to take your money. We're trying not to do that. We're trying to ease people into the crypto space and educate them, give them back their coins from our restitution fund when they've lost them legitimately, not lost them trading. And things like that we try to round off the hard edges of crypto and really make it a nicer and more friendly and loving, in quotes, place to be. That really at heart is what ReddCoin is. It's a family, it's a cryptocurrency, and it is a movement. And that's something that's evolving we're very proud of.
Could you Could you tell us a little bit more about the restitution? Because is that actually the first time I've ever heard of that in crypto?
Really?
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, could you,
Sure.
if
You
talk
can,
about,
you can, I'm sorry, I was interrupting. Go ahead.
no, I think that was just a bit
Oh,
of a
you're
lag.
done?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. The restitution fund, as well as our charity fund, are components of our POSV version 2 protocol. It's actually documented in our red paper. Some people call them white papers. We called it a red paper. You can see that on our website, and it basically is a social contract, and I'll go into some detail on that. What we established, ReddCoin is a staking coin, so that you can put coins in your wallet and earn a reward, and go ahead and spend that. There's no lockup, or it's not a financial mechanism. It's actually used to secure the network. And what we noticed over the years that we had existed, because we obviously, being one of the first crypto or one of the first altcoins out there, we've got a lot of history to look at. The coin was designed to be slightly inflationary and to grow at 5% a year. We have not, because a lot of the users out there are not staking. So rather than growing at 5% a year, we've grown about 1% a year. What we to do to address that network growth, to enhance the network security by encouraging and incentivizing more people to stake, and also to establish, as I said, this flow of funds for the dev team to sustain and to pay the infrastructure costs, we invented proof of stake version 2, proof of stake velocity version 2. And the way that works essentially is it looks at the population that's actively staking. And if it's, let's say, around 20%, which it has been traditionally, and the overall interest rate for the overall growth rate of the network is only at the 1% that it has been, we have a multiplier that kicks in. So instead of your 5% annual returns on ReddCoin, with the multiplier, for example, today I think it's around 1.8, so you'd be making closer to 10%. And then from that 10%, the network deducts an 8% chunk of that and sends it to a dev wallet under the team's control. Now, as part of our white paper and part of our social contract, what we've agreed to do with those funds is not only use them to advance the project and pay for costs and listings and things like that, but also to take 10% of it and dedicate it to charitable efforts, not just giveaways, but really things with a bit of a real altruistic feel. And more importantly, 10% of it towards this, what we call the ReddCoin Restitution Fund. For anybody in our community that's legitimately lost money, your grandmother formatted your laptop, or you moved and you left it, legitimate reasons, not I got hacked because I was on the dark web. And, for folks really in need, that money is those red coins are essentially earmarked to be given back. And we've given out at this point about $1 million plus directly from that fund. We've used funds from the dev fund to pay back that have supported us in the past. You can actually take a look at all of that on our website again.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Is ReddCoin one of the only projects that does that?
That offers restitution in that way? I believe so. I believe so.
It's amazing. I mean, I know I call myself a bit of a redhead. I'm a bit of ashamed that I perhaps didn't know that. But it sounds like because crypto is still in its infancy for some people. I feel like, especially when we're talking about people from like a kind of older generation who may struggle to, for example, engage in, Red version 2 or be online and want to tip someone, there is the real possibility that they may make a mistake. And I think restitution is something that crypto has perhaps missed out on to date. And it is very interesting to hear that RDD has that covered.
We felt the same way. And the fact is, if you've been in this space as you see a lot of people that make mistakes, and unfortunately that's the end of it. It's real money and they're out of the space. Really what we're doing here is taking what our community funds and turning them back, acting a bit as gatekeepers, but turning it back to the community wherever it's indicated. We give out funds in our Telegram channel. We've been running giveaways on on Twitter that have been, pretty widely attended. because that's really the spirit here. It's not meant to enrich a few people. We're trying to build something here that really offers rewards and value to anybody who gets involved, whether it's just staking, whether it's hanging out and engaging socially and, you know, getting some red rain in the social channels, or even something like that, where an example, the 1 million payment that we put out from that fund, one of our community members had tried to give, who held a good amount of red, tried to give his son as a Christmas present a year ago. I think it was a year ago. Time goes very fast. 1 million ReddCoin, so he could build for his future and learn about crypto. And unfortunately, either didn't record his password correctly or mistyped it or was unable to get into that wallet. We gave that million back to his son so that his son wasn't put off the rest of his life and, you know, ReddCoin's a waste of time and crypto sucks. That's a message those people that are disappointed are going to be telling everybody. We want to stop that. We want to hold their hands and help them. And in this way, we really can. And, you know, we can continue to do that as long as the blockchain produces and runs. That's the ideal scenario.
So with the upcoming developments that you've got going on at ReddCoin, do you want to just kind of run us through them and perhaps talk to us about the updates to the wallet, and especially the little button thing that I spoke about? I know that I'm not too tech savvy when it comes to some of these names. So
sure. The little tip button, as we call it, is the focus of, or as it was codenamed at one point, and we're trying to figure out the marketing behind without offending folks, the internet loan. That's a component of ReddID, or Red Mobile, which is really the larger product. ReddID is essentially the naming technologies embedded there. And that really is a focus of our development at this point, trying to take what we built and what we learned with the desktop version of ReddID that we, again, brought out as a Chrome browser plugin in 2018, and taking that functionality and the side chain functionality that we've built and using what we've learned to make that a mobile product. As an all volunteer, you know, group of folks, it's slow going. We've been adding talented folks to the team to be able to augment what we can do. And, you know, some stick around and enjoy the volunteer effort, and some people go off for greener pastures. But the truth is, you know, if you take a look at our dev update that was just put out, there are some screenshots and a walkthrough. You can actually click through the mock-up of the mobile app to show what that mechanism looks like. And just as a summary, if you're on your mobile typically and you're in your Facebook app, you're in some social media app, and you hit the share button, it'll pop up with a bunch of different options. Send to Telegram, send to email. Well, for us, it would send to the Red app, and we would capture that URL and link that to your wallet, so you could up a couple of coins into that person's wallet for good content. That's as easy as we'd like to make